Sorry, yeah, I'll start streaming as well. So you've only heard, oops, where are we? So you've only heard higher order functions in terms of there's a training on the platform on an intermediate, and you've maybe looked at it, but you don't know the actual definition. You maybe couldn't explain it in an interview. A function within a function within a function within a function, says Kieran. Yeah, that's quite accurate actually. Yeah, it's not a bad definition. Function that interprets a function. Function that invokes another function. Yeah, they're all close, right? I want to look at some examples first before I actually define it. But yeah, you're along the right tracks, right? So in terms of links, I've given you a couple on Slack, and then also just to learn about functions a bit more in general. Richard, you've all heard of Richard, I imagine, by now, one of our past students. The legendary Richard. Well, he did a presentation as well, and with his computer science background, he could cover a lot of these theoretical aspects very, very well. So you can see his lecture here on YouTube, which is on our channel, Scope, Lambdas, Closures and Pure Functions. So it ties in nicely with this workshop as well. So I do recommend that you watch that. There's some really nice examples in there as well. Cool. Do you want a direct link to that? I can send it to you later. Yeah, nice. So let's jump into some code snippets. Let me just zoom in so you can actually see something. It's a little spoiler, but hopefully no one paid too much attention there. You can't really see it either. Is it on YouTube? You can see it on YouTube if you need it. Fantastic.
I think there's a way, Ricardo, with the controller to change the contrast of this.
You want a bit better contrast? I can try for you. That's the best we can get, yeah? Cool. Alright then. So the first question is, what does this function return? I've called it higher order function type 2. I don't really know why, but that's what it's called for now. So what does the function higher order function type 2 return when we invoke it? An object, maybe. You got an answer, Kathy? No, just having a private conversation, yeah? Alright.
You're saying it's too hot here.
Too hot? I can't do anything about that, I'm afraid. Yeah, you can steal our fan if you want it, but that's all, yeah? Okay, so what does this function return? We've had object so far as one suggestion. Where do we invoke it first? What line invokes this function? 7, yes, we're invoking the function on line 7. So what looks a little bit different about this line compared to what you're used to, perhaps? It has a function inside of its invocation. It's a bit weird, right? We don't often see that, perhaps, or we haven't so far in the course. Yes, we're passing a function in as an argument. So when we do that, what's the value of parameter going to be? So hello is another option, because that function might have returned hello as a string. So it could be hello, it could be an object, as someone else has suggested. Any other suggestions? A function itself, yeah, so that specific function there, I take it, yeah, Kelly?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Seb thinks that also. Any other suggestions?
I think the function is true, it returns hello.
If the function is true, it will turn hello. What do you mean by if the function is true, Kevon? Don't know, okay. Thanks for throwing out that suggestion, this is good, yeah. Any other suggestions, or shall I run it? Yeah, follow up the won't return anything. That's another valid option, yeah, undefined or something like that, or an error. Hello, another one, yeah. Okay, yeah, I just want to see what it returns like this first, and then we can fix it if we need, yeah? Okay, so running it, we see we've got this little F down here in the console. So in other words, it's returning a function. So it's returning essentially all of that code that we've passed in, yeah? Because that is what has been assigned into the parameter variable. Yeah? So if I wanted to return the result of that function, I think Kate suggested it, what do I have to do? Call the function and return parameter with some brackets, and we can call that. Can't see the console on YouTube. Does anyone know how I put my console on the top? Because I was trying to do that because I don't know why it's not. Ooh, is that why?
It doesn't stream the whole screen, just a part of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that now. Maybe it wasn't overlaying properly. That looks good, right? And start it again. And hopefully that will get the whole screen, because I don't know how to fix it otherwise. Okay, so at the bottom anyway, for the ones who couldn't see that on YouTube, it was returning a function in the console. And that's the key thing to take away at the moment. So we said we could fix it by invoking that function. And then what will it return now if we've invoked the function?
Hello.
Hello, yeah, it will return the string hello. Yeah, so hopefully now we can see that streaming on YouTube and we can see it returning hello in the console. So this is one type of higher order function. What makes it a higher order function? The fact that we've passed another function as an argument into this function, yeah? So that is one type of higher order function, where it takes a function that takes another function as an argument, yeah? So rather than having some sort of primitive or array as its argument, it takes another function as an argument. So functions are very powerful in JavaScript. They're often called first-class functions. It means we can do some things with them that we can't do in other languages. So that might be another interview question, right? What's a first-class function? And essentially it's just a function that you can actually assign into a variable. Yeah, so you can store a function inside of a variable, which means you can therefore use it inside of other objects. You can have it as a value for a key value pair inside of an object. We can combine functions in multiple ways, right? We can have higher order functions, pass them as arguments into other functions, and we can also have functions that return other functions. Something like that. So this is another type of higher order function. Whoa, yeah, it's not very readable at the moment. We can make it more readable, but this type tend not to be very readable. So it's a function that returns another function, yeah? And I've nested it quite a bit. So that's the definition of a higher order function, right? There's two types essentially, or two criteria that make it a higher order function. One is a function that returns another function, and the other type, the first type we looked at, is a function that takes another function as an argument, yeah? And if you look on the platform, all those questions will involve those types of functions on the higher order function training. Okay, cool. So my question for this one is a little bit different. I want to know what is the execution order of this snippet of code. Yeah. So again, common interview questions, what bit of code runs first, and it's also very important to understand the flow of JavaScript, yeah? So that when you're debugging, which you might spend a lot of your time doing probably, in your first job at least, well, in all jobs. Yeah. It's very important to know what order your code runs in, because it's not just top to bottom, is it, in JavaScript? It can run asynchronously, and various calls and the way the engine works means that it doesn't just run line 1 to 10 in order necessarily. So what I'm trying to do, I don't know where my other breakpoint's gone, which is a bit annoying. Breakpoints always disappear. Okay, I'm going to close this snippet and open it again, and hopefully they will come back. Looks like there's already some set on it. So what I want to do is set a breakpoint on 2, 3, 5. Yeah, 9's not working, right? Ah. Why do we always try breakpoints? It never works. Let me... Is that going to clear it? Okay. Let's try once more. I'd hope it would have given me multiple options for line 9, but we're going to see what happens when we run it. Yeah. Anyone want to hazard a guess then? Out of line 3, 4, 5, and 9, what order do they run in? Everyone's smirking. Seb, yeah, you're straight in there. Seb says 9. I assume it's not ending there, Seb. Is there anything else that runs?
What, sir?
Is it that? That's it, 9?
No.
Oh, okay. 9, then what?
I think 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5. Okay. Anyone else? 2 board challenge points up for grabs to... 9? Who's saying this? Is this Jack? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. 9, 3, then 9.
9, 3, 9.
Then 4.
Then 4, yeah. Then what? Anything else?
Then 5.
Then 5. Okay. Any other suggestions? Oh, we're getting longer and longer with our guesses. So we've got 9, 3, 9, 4, 9, 5. Yeah, what's your suggestion? No? Sure? Okay. So you want to have another guess, or you're just going to bail out and say I don't know?
Okay,
9, 5, 4, 3. Okay. 9, 5, 4, 3. Bingo, you reckon, right? 9, 5, 4, 3. Okay. So that's for our... Well, first it was keep... No, it's not. Sorry. Okay. Did you agree, Bilal, with that?
No.
Oh, you just said bingo. You thought we were playing bingo. Okay. 9, 3, 4. So we got Faraj for 9, 3, 4. I know this takes some time, guys, but it's really important, right, to understand what order your code executes in. It's really hard to debug otherwise. And I'm always fascinated at the range of different answers you get from answering this question, right? Even with people that have been working with JavaScript for a long time, it seems to create some confusion still.
But you agree that 9 is the first one?
Everyone does agree that 9 is the first one. Most people then agree that 3 is the next one. Keyvon flipped it on its head and said it runs from the inner. Yeah, it's worth a try, right? He's going for those 2 points. It's do or die, you know. Kieran, you got a suggestion?
9.
Yeah.
3.
9, 3. Yep. 9. 5. So you could have just said the same as Jack, right?
And Kate.
And yeah, well, Kate was undecided, so that's why I sort of left that one there.
Actually, exactly at my place.
9, 9, 9,
999. Yeah. Let's dial for some help. We're stuck. 999. Is that it? 999, Kieran. Okay. On that note, I think we're probably going to try and put people out of their misery then. Unless. Oh, 3, 4, 5. 4 and 5. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to go, or should I just run through it?
Yeah, just run.
So, well, I don't think anyone's got it right.
Oh,
No way.
I was hoping Kate was going to get it right because I thought she said it initially and then she backed out for some reason. But I think Kate originally said 939495. Yeah? You were, but then you backed out, so
no,
I don't know.
it's the 9, 4, 2, 4, 5.
Let's have a look. So it stopped on 9. Cool. And we've got all 3 of these highlighted, which is nice, yeah? You can see the different invocations. So we've got the first invocation, second and third of these functions, yeah? So that's what I wanted it to do. I was hoping it would, but is that me? Sorry, I do apologise if that's me thinking. No, it's not. It is. I'll try and muffle it. Right. So let's tidy this up a little bit. We can get rid of that. And we don't need anything on the console. Oh, was it Ed giving his answer? What did Ed go for?
3945.
3. Yeah, wrong Ed, I think. Good try. Thanks, Ed, for the participation. I don't know why we can't hear you. We should be able to hear you, but maybe I haven't admitted him. Let me see if he's there then. Why am I asking to join? It's my meeting. It's a bit weird.
Always watching Ed in his living room.
Yeah, I hope he's decent. I don't know what's going on with the meet again. Sorry, Ed, you just have to watch on YouTube. Right. So we've reached 9. So most people were right so far.
Yeah.
Next.
3.
3. Good. Yep. So we called the first function. So that will run the code inside of the first function. And it will reach line 3. This itself, though, is another function. So does it continue running, or does it wait until we invoke it? Well, it should wait until we invoke it. Yeah, we've declared the function, but we haven't invoked it yet. So the code inside, this bit inside of the curly braces, will not run yet. All right. Step again, we should go back to 9, and we do for the second invocation. So now we should jump back up and run the code inside, which means line 4 will run. But then we get to another function declaration, and it's going to pause again. Right? It's going to store it in memory, but it won't run the code inside. So we should, I haven't gone to 4 yet, so it should go to 4. That's it. Then it's going to pause because we haven't run the code inside the function. Back to 9, and then back to 5. All right? Make sense?
Maybe it's a stupid question, but
Yeah.
why it doesn't like go function to the next function to the why does it go
Yeah. So it's just the way functions work in JavaScript, right? They are
declared but not invoked.
They're declared but not invoked. Exactly, right? Exactly what Seb said. So as soon as you see this function keyword, it will store the code in memory without actually running it. Yeah, without executing the code, doing what it says inside of it. It will just store all that as a block without reading it. Yeah, it's like someone gives you a book and you just put it over there for later rather than opening the pages and actually reading what's inside. Yeah, you don't know what the content is. It's just stored for later. Put on your bookshelf. Yeah, put in memory for later.
Alright. And why do you go back to the inside then?
And then
There's a book
why does
inside
it
the
go
book.
back? Huh?
There's a book inside the book.
Yeah, essentially here, right? Yeah, there's a book inside a book. It's
So
one of
you
those
go out
Chinese
and then come
China
back.
dolls, right?
Okay.
In this case, there is, which
Russian
is Russian dolls, not Chinese dolls. Sorry, I've just
Right side of the world.
It was probably made in China.
probably made in China. Yeah, that's where I got it from. Perhaps. Sorry to the Russians.
The parentheses, yeah, they follow order in the function. It doesn't matter how they call or.
Oh yeah. Because each one refers to a certain function, right? So this, we can put some arguments in a second. So yeah, all right. Let's just put some numbers in. So if we've got number 2, number 3, and number 4. I don't know why I didn't just do 1, 2, and 3 if I was going to use those numbers. That will probably be easy. Oh yeah, I know, because the outer function. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. We can do function 1, 2, and 3. So now we've got some arguments going into our function. So this first set of brackets, does it refer to the function on line 4, the function on line 3, or the function on line 2?
Which one, sorry?
So we've got this first set of brackets here, this number 1. That argument, does it get passed to this function on line 2, this function on line 3, or this function on line 4? What one got invoked previously when we used the first set of brackets? Well, we actually invoked the one on line 2, right, to read what was inside. So yeah, the order matters, right? Because if we're passing arguments, then this 1 is going to get sent up here as an x. The 2 is going to get set. Yeah, I mean, I can put some defaults on just so they don't change, so you realise what one it's coming from. Yeah, so our 1 gets sent to the first function, our 2 gets sent to the second, and our 3 gets sent to the third function. How about if I wanted to add all those numbers up? Do I have to do something in each function, or what do I have to do? Can you remember when we spoke about function scope before? But yeah, we talked about it when we were talking about var and let, exactly. And we said that if we had a block and we had a let, then outside of it we couldn't access it, right? If we had let a equals 10 and we tried to then console.log a down there, where's my console gone? No, console, no, it's not completely. Then it can't access it, right? Because it's inside of a block. It's like this one-way mirror, yeah? We can see out this time. We can see out of our room. We can see out of our block.
Is it all related to that all the functions are held within the 1? Because that's all that holds everything in block.
Yeah, so let's look at this last function. This function z, if you like. I call it function z, yeah? Inside of function z, do I have access to y? Can I look outside of a block and see what's outside of it?
No.
So if I had b equals 67, I don't know why 67, outside, could I access b inside of my block?
No.
Really?
No.
You're saying no, I can't access b inside of this block when it's defined outside? No, it's nothing to do with var and let. No. We can access it. Let me. How am I gonna? I might come into a new snippet. Might be easier. And then if we console.log a, then what's a going to be? Is it an error? You say? Or is it going to be 77?
Yeah.
It's going to be 77, right? I don't know if you can see that again. I've got too much going on with this debugger as well. Let's try and remove these. It's not hiding. Let's just skip through it. Okay. Yeah, so the one-way mirror, we can see what's going on outside of our block, but we can't see what's going on inside. Yeah, so if we did it the other way around, we said let b equals, even if I run the code afterwards, let b equals a plus 67, and then we console.log b. Now this way around, it's just going to be 10, right? Yeah, so in this case, Keyvon's saying, do we get an error? Breakpoints are killing me. Yeah, we get an error, right? Because A is not defined. We can't see into this block. The block can see out, but we can't see into the block. Yeah. Inside out, yeah, is the only way we can see. So coming back to our original example, does this inner function have access to y? Yeah, because it's the inner function, it can see out. So therefore we could freely, in the inner function, do x plus y. Where's y? There we go. Plus z. And that will work. Even though these arguments have been passed in a different function, we can use all three arguments in the inner function. So running that, see if I can get rid of these breakpoints. And we get 6, right? 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. What's that? Kind of like recursion. It's not recursion. Say what? Technically, it's more like a closure, right? It's a closure because you're storing those values even when the function itself doesn't need them. Yeah, you're storing x, y, and z even though the function has finished running them. It's more like that. We'll talk about closures later on. We're not going to talk about it now. But, yeah, so coming back to Sonia's original question, yes, the order is important, right? The order is important if we want to do specific things in each function with certain variables, or we can just leave it all to the inner function at the end if required. Okay. Any more questions on those two examples that we had? No? So should we just look at a question or two on the platform? Yeah? I don't think that's going to help, unfortunately. Kate is coming from over there. Yeah. Go there. Da, 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 da. So, if you've done a bit of intermediate training, you should have seen, oh yeah, by the way, the platform's expanding, as you can see, right? Now you can very soon be able to access TypeScript, Java, and Python as well. So this is our task for next month, to get some questions on there for all of those topics and expand what you can learn. Of course, it will always be free to you guys as Bootcamp members, right? And there's a secret link, right? You can just type the URL and do that, right? Anyway, in JavaScript training, in the intermediate, we should have, which one? This one, right? Higher order functions. Oh, one little mistake. How dare that mistake be there? On the first one as well. Look. Oh. Let's play that test again. So, what type of higher order function is this? Is it a function that returns another function, or a function that receives a function as an argument? If you're not sure, you can read the text, right?
Yeah, it's a function receives from two functions.
Yeah, our function has two arguments, which are functions 2. This time they're arrow functions, right? I just wrote the word function last time to make it a bit clearer. But of course you can just pass in an arrow function as an argument as well. Alright, and we want to multiply the two functions together. So what could we do? This was similar to the first example we looked at. How could we solve this? So I've got two functions. What shall I call them? Yeah, I like Jack's. Yeah, a couple of parameters in here. So we're going to call it just function 1 and function 2 for now. Yeah, fn1 and fn2. And then, what do we do? And then we return what, function 1 times function 2? Yeah. So that's not going to work, right? Because if we try and multiply an actual function declaration by another function declaration, it's the function expression, this one, but if we try and multiply a function by a function, we're not going to get any normal numbers, right? If we test that, it's just going to say you didn't return anything, right? There's no elegance at least, but it's not going to return anything. So, as before, we need to invoke the function, right? If we want to use the value that it returns, we need to invoke both of those functions so that we can access the 2 and we can access the 3, and likewise we can access the 5 and the 7. I think we're going to run into a problem down here though, because this one's only got one function. So if we try and do function 1 times function 2, one of them is going to be undefined. Yeah, so we got green on 2, but we got we got an error essentially on the last one. In fact, we just got an undefined. Yep, so we need a conditional. So what's my condition, Jack? Or what's it based on?
It's based on if there's two functions.
It's based on if there's two functions, yeah? Or how about whether function 2 exists, yeah?
Yeah.
If function 2 exists, then do what we've just done.
If not, then just return function 1.
Yeah. So that's my truthy, and then my falsy would be just, you said, return.
Function 1.
Whoops. Sorry, I really can't type after the bank holiday weekend, right? Return fn1. Okay, how can we tidy this up and make it into an actual conditional? So we can make some sort of ternary, yeah? So therefore we don't need the double return, we just need one, right, with the ternary. So if our condition is truthy, we're going to do that. If it's falsy, we're going to just invoke function 1. So what can my condition be? fn2, yeah, simply that, right? But before the question mark, obviously. So if function 2 exists, so if this has some truthy value, yeah, and a function is truthy, right? Because we went through the falsy values the other day, there were only 6 of them. A function wasn't one of them, right? So a function is always truthy. So if we've actually been passed in a function, then multiply both of them together. Otherwise, just multiply, well, just return the result of the first function. Yeah, this one usually returns 12, and we just want that. Make sense? Any questions?
You don't need to add the parentheses on line number 2 for function number 2.
So do you want to invoke function 2? Is that what you're saying?
If you don't invoke it, will it understand anyway you're talking about that?
If you don't, if you do invoke it, what about if function 2 actually returns 0? It's going to mess up your result, right? Because function 2 exists, but it's returned a falsy value.
Oh.
You don't need to invoke it either because you're just seeing if there is a function to call, right?
Yeah, we're just seeing whether function 2 exists. That doesn't see if function 2 exists. Function 1 always exists, right, in this case. So there's no point testing on function 1, having a condition on function 1, because it's always there. The thing that differentiates these top two from the bottom one is the existence of function 2. Yeah, so that's why we're testing function 2. That's why we've got function 2 question mark rather than function 1 question mark. If we put function 1 question mark, well, it's just going to be the same thing, right? We still return both of them. We still try and multiply both of them. So we have to test whether function 2 exists, and then we get the correct answer. If we do as Seb suggested, I don't think it's going to affect the result in this case, because function 2 is always truthy, so it would actually work. Oh, it wouldn't work. You return 12. That's what we wanted, right? Function 2, invoked it. Probably says function 2 is not a function, right? You're probably getting an error. Yeah, there you go. Function 2 is not a function. That's why. So the code's not even running in that case. Yeah. So you can't invoke something that doesn't exist. Seb, it won't let you do it. Yeah. Cool. One more? Yeah? Try and find a different type one. What's this one? That looks similar, right? It's a function that takes a function as an argument, so that's very similar to what we've just done. We want the one where we've got lots of parentheses, yeah? So we have nested functions, a function that returns another function. Let's see if we can find that sort of example. Something like that, right? So now we're not passing in a function as an argument, we're returning another function from the multiply function. So how would I write it? How do I return a function? Type the word return, yeah, and type the word function. Yeah, that's how I'm going to return a function. So I'd start off with that. Yeah, I've seen these double parentheses. I know I've got to use another function inside of multiply. Then what?
Could give it a name.
I could give it a name. Then what? Does the first function have any arguments? No, because it's this one, right? Does the second function have any arguments? Who said no? Yes. How dare you say no? It's week 4. Come on, we know what these things are, right? If there's a value inside of those brackets, it's taking an argument, yeah? So does it go there, or does it go in Seb? What's the first function that gets invoked? Oh, the first function that gets invoked is multiply, yeah? Then it will look inside multiply when that gets invoked and stop again on the Seb function. Seb will only get invoked if we put this second set of parentheses. So in other words, we need to pass our number into the Seb function. Sorry, sir, you come up with it, so you're famous on YouTube now. To about 200 people, maybe. I don't think that many watches. So, what do we do with that number? What's the pattern between these two? Times it by 3, yeah? The number times 3 equals 12, the number times 3 equals 9. That pattern holds for all of our test cases. So what do we do? Return, yeah. Num times 3, yeah? That should work, right? Success. If we put num in there, if we made a mistake, what are we going to get? So that, technically it's going to be undefined, isn't it? Because that was undefined. If you try and multiply undefined by anything, you still get undefined. So you're just going to say you didn't return anything, yeah? That's our platform speak for undefined. How can I write this a bit neater? What other types of functions do we use a bit? Oh, cancel that.
Arrow functions?
Arrow functions, nice. How could we rewrite this using arrow functions? So you're changing something around the return.
Arrow function.
Return. Seb's now turned into an arrow function. Yeah, he's a.
That's it.
Then what?
Then you have to delete the return
Delete the return. Fantastic.
and the curly braces.
Uh huh. So that definitely makes it. And the bracket. What bracket? This one.
No.
Yeah. I don't think we can because we've named it, right? So Seb, you're now becoming anonymous, if that's all right with you. And then we could do that, right? So that could tidy it up a bit. Still work? Yeah. Because if we got rid of the bracket, we'd have something like that, wouldn't we? And that.
Doesn't the function always need to get a name?
No. Not, so that's another one that I mentioned at the start, right? An anonymous function is a function that has no name. So most callbacks that we use, because they run and then we don't need to access them again, they have no name. They are anonymous functions. Yeah. If we use the same function over and over again, it makes sense to give it a name. Otherwise, just make it anonymous, no name. Yeah. Cool. Can we tidy it up maybe slightly more? I mean, that's good enough, really. But could you tidy it up a little bit more? Could we make multiply an arrow function? Yeah. Would it? Yeah. Why not? How are we going to make multiply an arrow function? It still needs a name. Don't forget. So I can't just write. I couldn't just do that. Yeah.
Multiply, keep parentheses, arrow function.
Multiply, keep parentheses. So essentially, you're saying do that, Jack?
I was saying keep those parentheses the first one you had and then do an arrow function after that. So
Keep the block, the curly braces. Sorry, me?
no, keep the brackets.
Keep.
So another set of brackets.
Hold on. So I was there. What are you saying? Do?
So delete the function, delete the return, and the curly braces.
So delete. That's what I did, wasn't it?
Oh no, but I'm saying keep the brackets after multiply.
Oh.
Two sets of brackets.
Okay. So you're saying have two sets of brackets like that. Doesn't look quite right to me. It's a bit of a weird syntax. Yeah, if we run that, I don't know what it's going to say, to be honest. Syntax error, yeah, so just didn't expect that bracket. Can't we do that? The multiply variable equals an arrow function. Yeah, so multiply is an arrow function that returns a function that returns number times 3. Right, that's what we wanted. We wanted two functions, yeah? So that's what that's saying. Multiply is equal to a function. That function returns another function that takes one argument and returns number times 3. So it's exactly the same as what we had. I'll just prove it. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of frameworks, a lot of modern React code now. Everyone almost writes functions like this. We don't see that function keyword very much at all, apart from for our components. Yeah. Our outer layer says function or says class. Yeah. But inside, all our other functions are often written like this, function expressions.
Would that work if instead of putting const you put function there?
Yeah, but then the equals isn't going to make sense. So if you say function multiply equals, equals is not expected syntax within a function.
No. If you function multiply and
Then that?
yes.
No, because you're mixing two things, right? You're mixing an arrow function and a function. So
Right.
they're both trying to do the same thing. What does it say? Yeah, unexpected token arrow, yeah? So arrows don't work with inside a function because they're trying to do the same thing. It's one or the other. An old-fashioned function keyword or an arrow function, yeah? Good question, Zach. Anything else? Because I'll probably leave it there.
Just to make sure it's right. So, in terms of when you actually use the benefits of using higher within a function, it's because you can call it within an argument, and you can call it within another function.
Yeah. So if we write very functional code and we've got lots of functions around our application, we don't necessarily want to invoke them all just as soon as we've created them and things like that. We might just want to declare them all at some point, and then we might need some data or some information from 3 or 4 different functions, right, around our application. So we could pass them into other functions by using higher order functions, or we could even create new functions by using the other type of higher order function, right? A function that returns another function. It sort of brings me on to the thing I didn't mention, right? The unary function, so that one. So a unary function is just a function that only takes one argument. And this is often, again, done so that we can debug it easy. If our function only relies on one argument, in this case it was number, right? This one relied on none, and this one relied on just one argument, then it makes it a lot easier to find where the error is. If there's an error in here, it's probably with a number, yeah? It's the only thing that changes, it's the only variable. Yeah, if we were getting weird results with number, then maybe we've got a side effect somewhere in our code that's changing the value of number. So unary just means it takes one argument, that's all, yeah? Yeah, but as I said, you can rewatch the video we've just done. You can also rewatch Richard's video, which is very useful on going into the theoretical side of the functions and different terminology. And the 2 articles that I gave you talk about common interview questions around types of functions as well. So have a read of those and get back to me with any questions, and I hope it was useful. Cheers. Yep. Oh, am I? Thank you.